Last year during July 4th weekend at Keyworth Stadium, the Central Conference Playoffs was held there. Detroit City FC would win the Central Conference Championship with a victory over the Indy 11. But this year's a little bit of a different scenario. The defending Central Conference champions have to travel to Highmark. They earned their spot by beating Kalamazoo FC on Saturday, while Ann Arbor loses to Toledo Villa. The Central Conference Playoffs, we preview it next, coming up on Soccer Night in Detroit.
It's 2-1, Detroit City FC! Detroit City FC makes history, reaches the summit, and claims the 2024 USL-W League Central Conference Final.
From Highmark Stadium, it's the Central Conference Playoffs, Detroit City versus Kings Hammer, and then Minnesota Aurora taking on the Pittsburgh Riveters. All right, and we are here finally.
Yes.
We are here. Another championship, another year in the playoffs.
Yes.
It's playoff time, though, y'all.
It is.
Oh,
By the miracle Joey Ramone, we made the playoff.
And
barely.
Well, I mean, you could say let's go back before we go forward type deal.
Okay. Let's begin with Saturday night.
Yeah, let's begin things with Saturday night. Mayor's Riverfront Park.
Yes.
Where's the location as Detroit City FC took on Kalamazoo FC. This first goal of the match by Kayla Addison. Beautiful turnaround pass by Hannah Crum.
There it is.
Right to Kayla Addison.
Right in the lovely foot of Kayla.
One zip. Corner in the 44th minute, though, where Kalamazoo's Bailey Cohorn would put it into the back of the net. That was a floater.
That was a floater. Yes. We thought it would be the end of it like the first one in Ann Arbor. But yeah,
that one was basically a floater.
Yes.
Kayla Addison just opened things up in the second half here.
Yes.
Off her own
rebound.
And Detroit City would go up by a score of 2-1. Penalty situation, though.
The penalty kick.
Yeah, later on in the match, once we get through the celebration here.
Oh, Kayla knows how to celebrate.
Penalty situation here coming up for Detroit City. Looks like it was nope. As we go around. Yeah, Ella Kane was going into the box at that point.
You're right.
Detroit gets the interception here and turns. As I mentioned, there would be a foul just outside the box. Drew Martin coming in, gets knocked down.
Was barely inside the box. Again.
Barely inside the box. Kayla Addison steps up to the spot. And, she's been pretty much, anytime you see her, she's been reliable out there.
Yes.
She hasn't had as many minutes throughout the year.
You're right.
But this time, gets the PK, gets the kick in the net, gets the hat trick.
Yes.
Gets the hat trick.
Hat tricks is nothing new to Kayla. She scored in the
and the Northern Guard celebrates as well, waving their hats around at Mayor's Riverfront Park. Detroit City with the victory by a score of 3-1. And
is Kayla Addison the first female player outdoors, let me say, outdoors to score a hat trick?
Yes, she is, as a matter of fact.
We would be saying a lot of other names throughout the year, you know what I mean? But Kayla.
Yeah, Kayla Addison was the first Detroit City player on the, to get a hat trick in the, in the outdoor game. And, many players have been part of Detroit City over the years as and of course, Kayla Addison, the great resume that she's had over the years. Great job by Kayla Addison. Great, and tied with Hannah Crum.
Hannah Crum,
for most goals in on the team this year.
Yes,
So
yes, and considering she scored her first goal at the first of the game of the year in Ann Arbor, and scored 3.
And like I said, she's been mainly off the playing off the bench and all that stuff to get the younger. I mean,
girls.
Yeah, Kayla Edison definitely is no spring chicken. Let's just put it that way. But
she's a veteran and could be a future head coach somewhere.
Absolutely,
hopefully here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And by the way, she's head coach of one of the youth programs, right?
One of the city programs. One of the Detroit DCFC City.
Yes.
Fact. So
Detroit area, right?
Yes, okay. Detroit area. So
and then we were up by 2. And then
we were up by 2.
And then the return serve by Toledo Villa.
Well, let me set this one up here.
Let's set it
up here. Detroit City. That's what they needed to do. They needed to win.
Ann Arbor,
they did their part. What Ann Arbor had to do on Sunday was beat Kalamazoo or beat Toledo Villa.
And by the way, if I remember, this was a rescheduled match because the early part was the PPT because of thunderstorms. So this was the date, which was Sunday.
Yes, and
the 30th.
Let's see here. So I'm trying to get the goal scores here because it's hard to say. You know your own goal scores.
Yes,
you know your own goal scores, but the ones for the other side, no, not so much here. Let's see if I can do some photographic red book memory here.
Okay.
All right. Let's start it off here.
Okay. We're gonna see. We have
Jana Searles from the 30-yard line.
It was a golazo.
Yes, indeed, sir. Searles with the goal.
I know.
Puts Toledo Villa up by a score of 1-0 in the second minute, third minute of play.
Yes.
Let's see here. Let's see.
And then the 45th
minute. Anna Yusufer.
Yes. Oh.
Scribbles it back in, and
it
was Toledo Villa up by a score of 2-0.
And I was getting pumped because we were getting through. Yes.
Yeah, we were getting pumped there, and we go into the second half of play. Let's see here.
53rd minute.
Yes, 53rd or 55th minute of play.
When
Allison bend it like Peckham.
Oh my!
Puts it in the back of the net. Toledo Villa up 3-0.
I couldn't believe the score line watching that.
Yeah.
I was stunned.
Absolutely.
I think everybody thought.
Yeah.
And I remember we were going to pick the Caucus because they were not having a great season. But then
Paige Sander with the goal here.
Yes.
In the 79th or the 80th minute, to get a little bit closer for Toledo Villa.
Yes. 3-1.
Or closer to Toledo Villa. It was 3-1 at that point.
And they were playing desperate catch up there.
Desperate catch up there. Let's see. 82nd minute of play here for Ann Arbor. It came down to this here. I forget her name again. Yeah, I forgot her name. Let's see. L. Irvin.
Yes,
will come up with the goal right here.
Yes.
L. Irvin with the goal.
And we were nervous.
And the big gal over the bar. A little bit nervous there.
Brother.
Going to stoppage time coming up in a few, but L. Irvin made it 3-2. Stoppage time coming up. Ann Arbor with the chance right here, and this one would sail towards the football upright.
It hit the post.
That was all she wrote, basically.
Game over.
Game, set, match. Ann Arbor 2, Toledo Villa 3,
and
with that, champions again of the Great Lakes Division, Detroit City FC moves on to this weekend, the USL-W playoffs.
I'm going to say I was shocked and surprised by that line score. 3-2 Toledo Villa, one of the worst teams this year in our division, being one of the top teams in the division.
Look, I've been hearing rumors about them. Look out for them next year because they develop like a lot of BGSU stars and whatnot. Bowling Green
University, which
Yep.
is nearby Toledo,
which used to be our pipeline for the longest time.
I remember that really well.
Yeah, used to be our pipeline for the longest time. But watch out for them.
Oh my!
Ann Arbor drops
Points.
Drops the game in the biggest loss in the city of Ann Arbor in 2030 some odd days.
Yeah, I understand. The big boys in Ann Arbor beat
the biggest
big
loss
boys.
in Ann Arbor to a team in Ohio in 2030 some days.
I know, and we're still top of the pops, literally.
Oh my God!
I gotta say, considering we won the title despite losing to Ann Arbor not once
but twice,
and we hold our ground.
Absolutely,
and we got lucky.
Absolutely.
Lucky, despite. The
I wouldn't say luck.
All right,
I would not say luck. In talking with
Dave
Dwayhe throughout the year, it was not luck as so much. Maybe it was luck for them beating us.
Oh.
However, this Detroit City women's side was very focused throughout the year, and they had their goals set. It didn't matter what the results are in the scoreboard. You still had 18 players going out there week after week, working their butts off, trying to get the job done. And
balls to the wall.
Yeah, balls to the wall, and stay humble but stay bold. That was their mantra throughout the year, and that's what got them their second straight championship in the Great Lakes division. So
yes, that's how they get to the dance.
Yes, basically that's how they got to the dance. So there's your champions right there, and now we go to a place where magic happened a couple years ago.
The Pittsburgh Miracle with Dominic Grasso.
Detroit City's women are off to try to get their own Pittsburgh Miracle, and it's not going to be easy. Not like last year's was easy either.
Oh.
I mean, winning on July 4th weekend with some tough teams there. Minnesota Aurora was one of them. Indy 11 was one of them. River Light. These opponents this year a little bit more, shall we say, a little bit more consistent as far as that goes.
Yes.
And
Aurora is back in the playoff. King's Hammer, by the way, it's in Cincinnati, Ohio,
and a familiar team to Detroit City, by the way.
Pittsburgh.
No. King's Hammer.
King's Hammer
played in USL-W. I want to say the 2022 season.
Oh, I see. In the men's side, right?
Oh no.
The women's side.
The women's side, as a matter of fact.
My memory is a little fried.
Yeah. So King's Hammer was part of Detroit City FC's initial foray into the USL-W.
When they were in the US.
Their initial foray into USL-W.
Okay.
So, and we've been in that since 2022.
Yeah.
So Kings Hammer was a part of it. So it's a familiar opponent to Detroit City SC. As you mentioned, Minnesota Aurora, the darlings of the USL-W. The darlings.
And
here's the thing with them.
Yes.
They get this far, but they don't seem to get it done.
Oh, complete the job, right?
Yes, exactly. So, previewing that game, we'll preview that. Yeah, well, let's preview that game as a matter of fact.
All right.
Which is the second matchup of the day, the second of the triple header.
Yeah, because there's a men game in the tail end on the 4th of July.
Yes.
By the way, cheers to the 4th of July.
Cheers to the 4th of July.
Happy 4th, my man.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
And
my favorite, by the way,
fireworks.
Yes, Neil Rule has his favorite rock and rye. I have my favorite firework. This stuff is the bomb, literally.
I know.
So, but free plug for Fago, by the way.
Thank you. Official soft drink of
unofficial soft drink of DCFC, unofficial soft drink of this podcast.
Of Detroit. Fago, please sponsor us.
But no. Shout out also to Cafe 1923 for having us as well. So,
thank you.
Okay, done with the free plug.
Okay. This is the sub-2 location of Keyword and our win that or the city clubhouse is not available.
So the second, like I said, second matchup of the day, Pittsburgh Riveters coming in.
Oh yeah.
They just won the Great Forest Division on
That's a weird name.
Last Friday.
That's a weird
Yeah,
name.
last
the Great
Friday.
Forest division.
Yeah, the last Friday night. A lot of Rust Belt teams in that division, as
Oh, yeah.
like FC Buffalo, for example.
Mhm.
I believe Cleveland Force went into that division as well. So they ended up making their way into the playoffs that way,
Yeah,
and
right.
winning the division on Friday night. The thing is with Minnesota, though, Minnesota's hasn't had a. I mean, they're the darlings of the league, but they are also the I wouldn't say bastard stepchild, but
Okay.
no, they just haven't gotten it done in the playoffs when it comes down to the playoffs. Which means that tells you one thing: they're very good in their division that they play.
You're right.
They're very good in their division.
You're
However,
right.
when you're transcending against other teams, we saw this the other night with Manchester City against Halal. There's other teams out there that are pretty damn good.
Oh yeah,
and you've got to be aware of them.
You're right. You win your own division. You nearly
and you got your own little circle going. We see this with Detroit
team.
City as well.
And now you're facing on a team you didn't see in the regular season in crossover play. I don't think there's crossover play in the USL-W.
Nope.
And now you're here in the big dance in the playoff. 4 teams to enter. Which one would come out? Minnesota Aurora, one of the best teams, 10 wins.
One of the class organizations.
You're right.
And has the best record, by the way, in the Central Conference.
And by the way, the team we're going to face on Kings Hammer of Cincinnati, they're undefeated too.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't forget the Pittsburgh Riverettes, which are playing at Riveters. Sorry, I almost said a Riverhouse. Whatever.
Undefeated at Highmark this season.
Oh, that's going to be
4-0-1 on the year. So, the way they got in was Gino Proviano's 90th minute game winner that put
at
them
the death,
that put them into the playoff and won the division for in their first year. By the way, they're going to have support.
Yes,
the Riveters are going to have support at that stadium.
Oh yes,
because the thousands of supporters have went out to see their games. I was kind of sort of introduced to them last year when I made the trip to Pittsburgh. They were introducing the team then, and their intentions of going into USL-W
Super League.
Yeah, no, USL-W the following year.
The following year,
so,
okay.
And then all of a sudden, great first year for them. But like I said, they're playing a team that's the class of the USL as far as organization goes. But good mixed returners on that team. Mariah Nguyen, Jelena Ziblich, and Rap Triplets, plus the new talent. So kind of like a core that we have here.
Yes.
And have it at Detroit City. Let's see. They've reached the play, and like I said, they've reached the playoffs every year, but made it out of the conference once. So that's the thing with that. That's the only handicap with them. But you got, and you basically have the Riveters are riding off momentum from their home crowds. So
yes.
It's going to be a little bit different as far as that goes.
How is the home crowd in Pittsburgh for their games? I know.
Basically, as they said, they generated. Thousands of fans have come to the. And grant you, it's a smaller event. It's smaller than Keyworth.
Yes.
It's 5,000-6,000 seat venue.
At Highmark Stadium, right?
Yes.
Overlooking the beautiful downtown skyline of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And
on the bank of the Monongahela River, right?
Monongahela River, right there.
So.
Yeah. So like I said, they're going to rely on the 12th man for support, obviously, and all that stuff. Being in mid afternoon game, we'll see how weather is a factor there. Our match, by the way, is a morning match.
10:30 a.m.
10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we take after a familiar opponent to Detroit City FC, Kings Hammer FC.
Yes.
We played them as I mentioned, a couple years back in the initial season of USL-W for Detroit City FC.
And by the way, how the body will react not only to Detroit City but to King Hammer, both teams. You're playing a game at 10:30 a.m.
I don't think it's going to phase them one bit.
Oh,
I really don't.
You don't think they're phasing?
Nope.
No. Yeah.
They're just going to go out there and play the game like everything else. Okay. Oh, we got a game at 10:30. A lot of these kids had games at 10:30.
when they were a lot younger.
I had games at 10:30 in the morning when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Going for the District 7 championship in
Not really,
okay.
but just a regular season game. I had a
Okay.
game at 10:30.
I see.
Just for a regular season game, I had at 10:30 in the morning. For God's sakes.
Okay.
I mean,
don't kill me because
Yeah.
because we're used to 10:30 games with the England Premier League, which is 3:00 over in the
10 o'clock.
in
Yep,
England,
yep.
10 o'clock here.
Mhm.
Don't forget last year's USL Championship game, although it was a noon Eastern time for CBS. That game in Colorado Springs, Colorado, or they faced on Rhode Island FC, was 10 a.m. in the morning as well, Mountain Time. So.
I don't think the time difference. It may affect a lot of us supporters for watching the game, but
I know.
as far as the players go, I don't think.
And they have to wake up very early, like 4 or 5 in the morning.
No,
No.
not so much. I mean, obviously they got trainer. Obviously they are traveling to Pittsburgh for this thing, so
Yes.
they'll have. I'm sure they'll have great accommodations. They're probably going through the same hotel that they do for. But I think the last time they took they usually take the bus down, but I'm sure they got good hotel accommodations and whatnot, and as far as that goes.
And you have to have a mindset, get ready for a game,
regardless, no matter what time it is.
And that was the point where we pretty much lost our audio, unfortunately. back here at the Hacienda. We were previewing the match between Kings Hammer and Detroit City FC. As I was mentioning earlier in the article, though, and we got into, and my apologies for not getting into it a little bit more. I mean, not providing you what Steve and I got into during that interview. But basically what this one is a familiar matchup for Detroit City FC. Kings Hammer was a part of the USL-W's Great Lakes division back in 2022 when Detroit City first got into the USL-W, back when the USL-W was basically getting a jump start again. And needless to say, the last time these two teams met, Detroit City pretty much dominated those games, and under Salvatore Perrine, shout out to him, as he was the first coach for Detroit City FC. Much different circumstances now with Kings Hammer. Kings Hammer clinched a playoff spot last week with a 4-3 victory over Lexington SC and followed it up with a scoreless draw with Lexington SC. Kind of like a, borderline rivalry there, kind of like, what we have with Toledo Villa for them down in the Cincinnati, Lexington area, Southern Ohio, Northern Kentucky type deal. But teams consisted attacking threat, and the only player to play in all 10 matches was Lauren Flax, who netted 6 goals this season. Beside her is leading scorer and 2024 Big East Freshman of the Year, Samantha Urbach. She recorded 7 goals on the year for Kings Hammer. But they got some goal scorers there, definitely, for that club. Like I mentioned, the 2 times that Detroit City faced them in USL-W competition back in the, earlier back in 22, Detroit City pretty much dominated the contest then. So, and of course, with Detroit City, the players, the game, and I've been grateful. Shout out to Dave Dwahey, Danny Evans, Nate, the rest of the coaching staff. Shout out to the players as well for providing interviews. And, I attended all 5 games this year, and you see the progression of this Detroit City team. And it's not just one score. It's not just Kayla Addison. It's not just Hannah Crum. Ella Karolak scored a goal in one of their, in the Toledo matchup that I attended. Let's see, Nina Ferraro also scored. So you got way too many. I mean, there's a lot of contribution on this Detroit City club. I think I did mention before the video or the audio crapped out about Charlotte Huggard. Charlotte Huggard will be available for the matches. Actually, I was talking about Allison Lapointe. Allison Lapointe probably will not be available for these matches coming up this weekend because of she's on a European trip. Another player that's not going to be with us as well is Sophia Romine, who I would say my Black Arrow candidate. I don't know about anybody else's. I've talked with people about. I mean, regardless of the amount of games played this year that she's had, I'd say she's a viable Black Arrow candidate because you saw the difference in the way the team attacks out on the pitch when she's out there. It's a total different mindset. Now, when they played Kalamazoo on Saturday, they were just relentless out there. I mean, Kalamazoo, grant you, a tough team. They've given us trouble over the years. Still, to come away with a 3-1 victory without Sophia Romine there tells you a lot of what this Detroit City team is made up of. A lot of players that like to play gritty. They like to play defensively. They like to carry it out of the back and bring it downfield. And they are out to make your day miserable, shall we say. But nonetheless, it's going to be a great battle. And the 10:30 we talked about that earlier. The 10:30, it's not going to be a big deal at all. I really don't think so. But I digress with that. However, we did pick some games. Unfortunately, that got cut out of the video as well. These are not going to go towards our usual competition, what we have for the regular season, even though these are playoff games, and you never know, we might not be able to predict on Saturday. However, we might not be, like I said, we might not be able to predict Sunday's game if we're not playing in it. However, we predicted the games for July 4th down at Highmark Stadium, and the first matchup we tackled was the Pittsburgh Minnesota Aurora matchup. Basically, all I can tell you, Steve picked Minnesota. I picked Pittsburgh because that little caveat there with Minnesota Aurora not having much success after winning their division and all that might rear its ugly head again. And in front of that Pittsburgh home crowd might be a little bit of an issue there. Last year they lost to Indy 11. It wasn't in front of the home crowd, and Minnesota is going to have people that are going to travel with them. I'm sure of that. But they had people that travel with them. They left key were quite disappointed. I think it's going to happen again. So I'm picking Pittsburgh just on that route. 4-0-1. That's a lot. 4-0-1. So basically undefeated. So four wins, one draw, no losses. They know what they're doing over at Highmark Stadium. So I pretty much predicted it. Both of us predicted a victory against Kingshammer. He went, I believe, 3-1 on that one. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that. Maybe a 2-0 victory for Detroit City. Another clean sheet for whoever starts in that, whether it be Huggard, whether it be Kirsten Williams. No matter, and the thing is that goaltending room of Detroit City SC. Everybody feeds off each other on there. I think it's going to be a solid team effort as far as that goes. As far as where to watch this matchup and all the matchups in the USL-W playoffs, for that matter, tune in to Sports Engine Play. All the games will be taking place there. Kingshammer, Detroit City, 10:30. Pittsburgh, Minnesota Aurora at 1 o'clock on the 4th of July. Saturday in the Highmark. Or no, not Saturday in the park. 4th of July in the Highmark, not Saturday in the Highmark. Triple header of soccer, as a matter of fact, in that venue for Friday, as the Pittsburgh Riverhounds will be playing the nightcap that night, I believe, as I check my thought mob here. New Mexico United, the first place team in the Western Conference. That game, of course, you can see on ESPN Plus in the USL Championship. Part of 5 games that night in the championship for the 4th of July. So, fun night of soccer there, obviously. So, basically, that's about it as far as this preview goes. Hopefully, we'll be back. We'll have after hours after the game on Friday. Of course, after the games on Friday, full highlights of both of those games as well. And hopefully, we'll have an after hours on Sunday as well, should Detroit City move on in the Central Conference to the Central Conference Final on Sunday afternoon at Highmark Stadium. So big weekend of soccer coming up in Pittsburgh, and also look forward to a soccer night in Detroit coming up on Saturday. We preview USL After Dark as Detroit City caps off the night along with the Oakland Roots of USL Soccer that night from the Coliseum in Oakland, California. So be on the lookout for that video coming up on Saturday as well. So until we meet again, folks, keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the galaxy.